Yes, screen കാണാറല്ലേ? Issues ഇല്ലല്ലോ? Hello?
sir.
Sir.
Right, okay, so subject is disaster management. So in our ആദ്യത്തെ ക്ലാസ്സിൽ ആദ്യം overview of the subject. Okay. Okay. So, our subject is NCN 301 disaster management. It's a non-credit course. And there are 5 modules, and കുറച്ച് ഡീറ്റെയിൽ ആയിട്ട് ഉണ്ട്. കുറച്ച് അത്യാവശ്യം സബ്ജക്റ്റ് ആണെങ്കിൽ പോലും ചെറിയ കാര്യങ്ങൾ ഉണ്ട്. കോൺസെപ്റ്റ് വൈസ് കുറേ കാര്യങ്ങളുണ്ട്. And these topics we might have already studied in your school schools. അതുപോലെ ഡിസാസ്റ്റർ മാനേജ്മെന്റ് മെത്തേഡുകൾ. സോ ഡിസാസ്റ്റർ മാനേജ്മെന്റ് എന്ന സബ്ജക്റ്റ് ഒക്കെ പഠിച്ചിട്ടുണ്ടോ? എനിക്കൊക്കെ പഠിക്കുന്ന സമയത്ത് ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നു ഒരു സബ്ജക്റ്റ് എന്തായിരുന്നു? ഡിസാസ്റ്റർ മാനേജ്മെന്റ്. യെസ്, കേൾക്കുന്നില്ലേ?
Sir, sound കുറവാ.
Okay, so ഇപ്പൊ കേൾക്കുന്നുണ്ടോ? സൗണ്ട് ക്ലിയർ ആയോ?
Sir.
Sir.
ഓക്കെ, അപ്പൊ ഞാൻ ചോദിച്ചതായിരുന്നു ഡിസാസ്റ്റർ മാനേജ്മെന്റ് ആസ് സബ്ജക്ട് നിങ്ങൾ ആരെങ്കിലും ഇതിനു മുമ്പ് പഠിച്ചിട്ടുണ്ടോ എന്നുള്ളതാണ്. യെസ് ഓർ നോ?
ഇല്ല സർ.
എനിക്ക് ഞാനൊക്കെ പഠിക്കുന്ന സമയത്ത് പ്ലസ് വണ്ണിലെങ്ങാനും ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നു.
Chapter
സർ പ്ലസ് ടു
ചെറിയൊരു പുസ്തകമായിട്ട്
chapter
അങ്ങനെ പഠിച്ചിട്ട് ചാപ്റ്റർ മാത്രമാണല്ലേ? അപ്പോൾ more or less the basic things will be same for both the subject, all those things, and actually you have to learn something about the environment that is related to the ecosystem, and then you also will have to learn about the different techniques of eliminating or reducing the disasters related to disaster management. Right. Okay, so we'll start. Okay. Right. So these are the contents of our module 1. Okay. So module 1 will be mainly concentrating on these topics, starting with the systems of work. Okay. So these are the topics that you might have already learned in your earlier classes, like in your schoolings. Okay. So first of all, we'll start with the basic systems of work, and in that we'll be covering the lithosphere, atmosphere, hydrosphere, and biosphere. Okay. So lithosphere in your, under your top heading lithosphere, we'll be dealing with the composition of lithosphere, different types of rocks found in lithosphere, and the soils in lithosphere. Similarly, in atmosphere, as you know, there are different layers of atmosphere. So we'll be first of all starting with our discussion with the different layers of atmosphere, followed by the ozone layer. That is, we'll be going in deep with the ozone layer, and again the greenhouse effect, which I hope each and every one of you will be familiar with the topic. Similarly, then we'll also see the concept related to the weather. Okay, so different weather conditions. Similarly, cyclones, atmospheric circulations, and specific about Indian monsoon. Okay. Now the next, after that, we'll be dealing with the hydrosphere topics like the oceans, inland water bodies. Okay, so your hydrosphere is a combination of your water bodies, actually, right? So the water bodies, there are oceans, and similarly there are inland water bodies. That means those water bodies which does not have a connection with the oceans. Right? Now, similarly, finally, we'll also deal with the biosphere, which is a combination of all the three things. Okay, so we'll see what. Then also you have to learn about the basic definitions of these key terms. Okay, key terms that are used in disaster risk reduction and management. Okay, so these are the terms you have to know in the exact definition of the term disaster, hazard, exposure, vulnerability, risk assessment, risk mapping, capacity, resilience. See, ഈ ടേമിനൊക്കെ in terms of disaster management അതിന്റെ ഇമ്പോർട്ടൻസ് എന്താണെന്നും എന്താണ് അതിന്റെ എക്സാക്ട് ഡെഫിനേഷൻ എന്നുള്ള കാര്യം ക്ലിയർ ആയിട്ട് അറിയണം. ഓക്കെ, resilience, disaster risk reduction, disaster risk management, early warning systems, disaster preparedness, disaster prevention, disaster mitigation, disaster response, disaster assessment, crisis counseling, and needs assessment. So all these terms we need to learn. Okay, so all these terms along with the meaning of these terms, that means exact definition of all these terms that you have to understand. Okay. Alright, so this is the overview of the first module. So these are the topics which comes under your first module. So കുറച്ച് ലെങ്തി ആണ് ആദ്യത്തെ മൊഡ്യൂൾ. കമ്പാരിറ്റീവ്ലി ബാക്കി മൊഡ്യൂൾസ് നമുക്ക് നോക്കണമെങ്കിൽ കുറച്ചുകൂടെ ചെറുതാണ്. ഓക്കെ, സോ കംപ്ലീറ്റ് ഇറ്റ് ഫാസ്റ്റ്. ബട്ട് ഈവൻ ദോ ഇറ്റ് ഇസ് ലെങ്തി, ഇതിന്റെ എക്സാക്ട് ഡെഫിനിഷൻസ് കാര്യങ്ങൾ പഠിക്കുക എന്നുള്ളത് മാത്രമേ ഒരു ടാസ്ക് ആയിട്ടുള്ളൂ. ഓൾ ദീസ് തിങ്സ്, ദിസ് ഇനീഷ്യൽ പാർട്ട് ഇസ് വെരി സിമ്പിൾ. യു ക്യാൻ ലേൺ ഇറ്റ് വെരി ഈസിലി. ഓക്കെ, അതൊരു പിന്നെ സിലബസിലുണ്ട്. Moving further. Okay, so we'll start with the first topic, which is systems of Earth. Okay, so as we have seen, or as we have seen in the syllabus itself, the systems of Earth can be, there are actually 4 subsystems associated with the system of Earth. Okay, so we can classify the total system of Earth into these subsystems, starting with the atmosphere, hydrosphere, lithosphere, and biosphere. Okay, so these are the 4 subsystems of Earth. So please make a note of all those things. These are important areas. So just note on this one. 4 subsystems of also 4 subsystems, or these are also known as spheres. Okay, these are also known as spheres, and these are the 4 spheres: hydrosphere, atmosphere, lithosphere, and biosphere. Right. Now here, so each term has an importance. Okay, now here, litho actually means, എന്താണ് ലിത്തോ പറയുന്നത്? ലിത്തോന്റെ മീനിങ് എന്തായിരിക്കും? Litho means, so actually all these 4 terms are taken from Greek terms. Okay, and each of these terms has a meaning. Okay, so litho actually means എന്തായിരിക്കും? എന്താണ് litho word meaning എന്തായിരിക്കും? എന്താണ്? Anyone? So it means rock. Okay, litho actually means rock. Then hydro എന്തായിരിക്കും? What does the term hydro means? Hydro. Water, exactly, right. Hydro means water. Okay. Biosphere. Bio means life. Yes, exactly. Bio means life. And atmosphere. Atmos means
Air.
air. Exactly. Yes. Air or water. So this is how the four systems are classified. Like atmosphere symbolizes the air and water. That is a that is a region above the surface of Earth. Right. And the hydrosphere, it symbolizes the water bodies inside the Earth. Now, lithosphere actually symbolizes the rock part. That means the part which is below the surface of Earth. And the biosphere, it actually symbolizes the life. That means it's a combination of all these things. Okay. So we'll see that in detail. So actually, you can represent this entire system something like this. Okay. So you can see this is a combination of all these systems. You can see the different systems over here. Now the geosphere is actually lithosphere. Okay, lithosphere. So the surface, the downward rocky part, which represents the lithosphere, you can see over here, and the hydrosphere. Okay, so the liquid part is over here. This is your hydrosphere, and the atmosphere. Okay, so atmosphere, the upward part, this is your atmosphere, and the combination of all these things actually makes possible. It actually makes the life possible. Actually, right? So the biosphere. Okay, so you can see the biosphere because life is there. The vegetation, trees, and the animals, all these things are part of the biosphere. Right. Now you can represent this entire terms as something like this. Okay, so these are interdependent things. So you can represent this as okay. So these are the three spheres, and this one that will be lithosphere. Let this one be hydrosphere, and let this one be atmosphere. Okay. അങ്ങനെയാണെങ്കിൽ the combination of all these things, that means this region, the inside region is your biosphere. Okay. And this has a boundary. The system has a boundary. And this entire system forms the ecosystem. This combination, this entire system is called the ecosystem. Okay. So I hope it is clear, right? Okay. So as you can see all these systems are actually interconnected. Right? So if there is any issue or if there is any problem with one of the system, it will automatically affect the other systems as well. Okay, so you can see change in change in one sphere, one sphere will affect other spheres. Okay. Will will affect other spheres, and these effects are called events. Okay, ഒന്നിനുണ്ടാവുന്ന ചേഞ്ച് ബാക്കി സ്പിയേഴ്സിനെ എഫക്ട് ചെയ്യും, and these are called events. And an example for these events are earthquake, cyclone, earthquake, cyclone, landslide, all these things. Okay. So if there is a change in one of the sphere, it will automatically affect the other spheres, and this are called events. And these, and an example for these events are earthquake, cyclones, landslides. Okay. And sometimes these events actually forms causes. Okay, so these events actually trigger some other things. Okay, so ഒരു issue അത് അതിനെ തന്നെ തീരില്ല. അതിനെ കൊണ്ട് എന്താണ് ഒരു കണക്റ്റഡ് ഈവൻസ് ചിലപ്പോൾ അതിനെ കൊണ്ട് ഉണ്ടാവും. ഓക്കെ, ഒരു ചിലപ്പോൾ ഫോർ എക്സാമ്പിൾ നമ്മൾ കണ്ടിട്ടുണ്ട് ഇപ്പോൾ പിന്നെ സീ വാട്ടറിന്റെ അകത്ത് ഉണ്ടാവുന്ന എർത്ത് ക്വേക്സ് കൊണ്ടാണ് നമ്മൾ സുനാമി ജനറേറ്റ് ചെയ്യുന്നത് അല്ലെ. സോ സുനാമി അവിടുത്തെ ഒരു ഈവന്റ് ആണ്, അല്ല സോറി, എർത്ത് ക്വേക്ക് അവിടുത്തെ ഒരു ഈവന്റ് ആണ്. ആൻഡ് ഇൻഡയറക്ട്ലി എന്താ സംഭവിക്കുന്നത്, ദാറ്റ് ഈസ് ആക്ച്വലി ട്രിഗറിങ് ലാർജ് വേവ്സ്. സോ ഈ ലാർജ് വേവ്സ് എന്ത് ചെയ്യും, tsunami goes there, right? So that events can sometimes trigger something, so that can also become cause, and these causes actually terminates into effects. Okay, and this can form a cycle of events. So this cause and effect cycle out of forms in that will continuously uh, result in some the disastrous activities, right? Okay, so I hope it is clear, right? The note is change in one sphere will affect the other spheres, and this is called events. Okay, and an example for the events are given here. These are earthquake, cyclone, landslides. All these are events. these events can become causes. You can take an example as tsunami is an example for this one. Tsunami is an example for this one. Okay. Okay, no doubts. Fine. Okay. So we'll move on to the first major topic, which is your lithosphere. Okay. Galoro terms at home. So as per the syllabus, we have to cover all these things: lithosphere, atmosphere, hydrosphere, and biosphere. Okay. So starting with the lithosphere. So, as I said, lithosphere. The term litho is actually derived from the term a Greek word. This word, Greek word lithos. Okay. And that lithos actually means a rocky. Right. So from the name itself, it is very clear. It actually represents the rocky terrain of the Earth. Okay. So the region that is below the surface of Earth, it comes under this rocky terrain, and that comes under the lithosphere, the region below the surface. Okay. That is called the lithosphere. So it actually contains elements of Earth crust and parts of upper mantle. Okay. So you can note all these things. It contains elements of Earth crust and part of upper mantle. So this is the hard and rigid outer layer of Earth. Okay. So this is the hard and outer rigid layer of Earth. So please make a note of this diagram as well. So this is how the entire lithosphere is distributed. You can see it is having a continental crust, oceanic crust, asthenosphere, and this ranges up to 2,900 kilometers down. So this entire region is called a mantle, crust and upper solid mantle. Mantle എന്ന് പറയാം. It is called mantle. And the next lower part is called the outer core, which is liquid. And this ranges up to 5,100 kilometers. The last is the inner core, which is solid. And from 5,100 kilometers to the bottom. Just you can make a rough picture. Just a layer. Put it up.
Sir.
ഇതൊന്ന് 20 പേരെ ഉള്ളൂ ക്ലാസ്സിൽ. ഇത് രാവിലെ തൊട്ട് എത്ര ഉള്ളൂ? Okay, fine. Right now, so this lithosphere, you can classify this lithosphere into two regions. Actually. Okay, so there are two types of lithosphere. One, sorry, no, actually, yes, and these are first one is your oceanic lithosphere, and the second one is continental lithosphere. So this is important. Can be there are two regions. One is oceanic lithosphere, and it is about 5 kilometers to 8 kilometers thick, and is composed of basalt. Okay, make a note of this one. And your continental lithosphere, it ranges from 30 kilometers to 40 kilometers, and it is thick. You can see from the diagram also. The top part it is continental crust. Okay, so this was a region. This is called the continental sphere. Next is oceanic crust. Okay, so you can see over here. So there is a range from 5 to 8 kilometers. It is composed of oceanic lithosphere. And continental lithosphere ranges from 30 kilometers to 40 kilometers. Right. So this is the oceanic one. Oceanic one, and this one is this region is your continental one. Okay, so make a note of this one. Take this one, 30 kilometer. These values are important. 30 kilometer to 40 kilometer thick. Okay, and you might be familiar about the thing that the oceanic plate, sorry, the earth plates actually moves, right? അത് സ്റ്റേബിൾ അല്ല, അത് കണ്ടിന്യൂസ് മൂവിംഗ് ആണ്. അപ്പോൾ അതിന്റെ പൊല്യൂഷൻ സംഭവിക്കാം, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ അത് രണ്ടും വിട്ടു പോവാം അല്ലെ. സോ പൊല്യൂഷൻ സംഭവിച്ചു കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ ചിലപ്പോൾ അവിടെ ഒരു വലിയ എന്താ പറയാ വലിയ ഒരു പീക്ക് ഫോർമേഷൻ നടക്കാം. സോ അതാണ് നമ്മൾ പറഞ്ഞിട്ടുണ്ടാവും. പിന്നെ സം ഓഫ് ദ ഒരു വലിയ ഹിൽസ് ഒക്കെ ഫോം ചെയ്തത് ഇത്തരം രീതിയിലാണെന്നുള്ളത് കേട്ടിട്ടുണ്ടാവും. Oceanic plates comes in contact or collides. Okay, similarly, when that moves apart, അവിടെ വലിയ എന്താ പറയാ വലിയ എന്താ പറയാ വലിയ ഹോൾസ് ഫോം ചെയ്യുന്ന അവസ്ഥകളുണ്ടാവും. Right. So, so, so there's movement. Okay, so earth plates uh, moves related to one another. Okay, below this rigid lithosphere. Okay, and this area is actually called as asthenosphere, and it ranges from 100 kilometer to 200 kilometer thick. Okay, so you can note this one. The earth plates which move related to one another below the rigid lithosphere, and this area is called the asthenosphere. And you can see this in this one in the figure. This region, okay, this region is called the asthenosphere. I hope you have drawn this here. This is your asthenosphere. Asthenosphere. Okay, clear.
Sir.
Okay, therefore, due to this movement of this earth plates, actually there are three types of boundaries can occur. Okay, so these are the three types. One is sliding towards each other. Okay, so when both the plates come towards each other, subduction zones are formed. Similarly, when this moves away, a ridge area or a hole, a ridge area or ridge axis will be formed. Similarly, if it is slides along, it forms transform forms. Okay, so please make a note of this one. Sliding towards each other, it forms subduction zones. Sliding away, it will just sliding along, it forms transform. Fine. Okay. So the basic composition of lithosphere, we'll see. This is important. The basic composition of lithosphere. Lithosphere, as you might be familiar, that it contains minerals or rocks and soil. Okay, so these are the main composition, and around 100 chemical elements are found in the surface of Earth. Right, and around elements found in the Earth's crust, the range is something like this. Oxygen concentrates around 46.6%, silicon 27.7%, silicon and aluminum 8.1%, iron, calcium, sodium, potassium, magnesium, and there are many more. Okay, so a few of these one which are abundant in the Earth's crust is as follows. Okay, so you can at least note one or two of this one. Oxygen, it is 46.6%, silicon, it is 27.7%. Okay, so the main composition of lithosphere is actually, the complete lithosphere is actually, you can divide it into three categories. One is minerals, rocks, and soil. Okay, so we'll see what are the different types of rocks found in the lithosphere. Okay, so they are rocks can actually be defined as these are some naturally occurring hard and consolidated inorganic materials composed of one or a large number of minerals. Right. So it is actually when rock എന്താണെന്ന് ഞാൻ പ്രത്യേകിച്ച് പറയേണ്ട കാര്യമില്ലല്ലോ. Right. So നമുക്ക് ഇത്തരത്തിൽ ഡിഫൈൻ ചെയ്യാം. It is natural occurring ആണ് അല്ലേ? Obviously it is naturally occurring. And again, it is hard and consolidated inorganic material. Okay, it's an inorganic material, and the composition. Okay, three കാര്യങ്ങൾ പറഞ്ഞാലേ complete ആവുള്ളൂ. And the composition of this rock is actually it has one or a large number of minerals. Okay, so it has a one or large number of minerals, and it can be classified as igneous rocks, sedimentary rocks, and metamorphic rocks. Igneous, sedimentary, and Metamorphic rocks. എന്താണ് igneous rocks? പണ്ടേ പഠിച്ചതായിരിക്കുമല്ലോ. ആലോചിച്ച് നോക്കി, എന്താണ് igneous rocks? igneous rocks എങ്ങനെയാണ് ഫോം ചെയ്യുന്നത്? Yes. Anyone? Sedimentary. ഏതെങ്കിലും? പറോ രാഹുൽ പറോ.
സെഡിമെന്റ് ആയി ഇങ്ങനെ ഓരോ ആനിമൽസിന്റെ എല്ലാം പണ്ടത്തെ
സെഡിമെന്റ്സ് ആയിട്ട് ഫോം ചെയ്യും അല്ലെ? ഇഗ്നിയസ് ഓൾമോസ്റ്റ്
ഇഗ്നിയസ് ലാവ
ആ എന്തായിരുന്നു ലാവ?
ലാവ കൊണ്ടുവന്നില്ല റോക്ക്.
Yeah, okay, fine. It is related to somewhere, it is related to lava formation. Lava endo something, right? So we'll see what it is. So your igneous rocks is actually formed by the solidification of magma in the interior or lava on the surface of Earth. Right. So lava solidification is igneous rocks formed. Right. Now it is actually composed of primary minerals, mainly silicates. Okay. So this is important. It is mainly composed of silicates, and it is abundant in the entire crust of the Earth. These are abundant. You can find it in plenty on the surface. Right. So please note, these are the main 2 points. Solidification of lava. It is formed by the solidification of lava on the surface of Earth, composed of silicates. Mainly silicates, and it is very common. Right. It is found abundant in the entire crust of Earth. The next one is sedimentary rocks. Right. So it is actually formed by the precipitation of solutions and consolidation of remains of biotic components. Right. So both plants and animals. Right. രാഹുൽ പറഞ്ഞത് കറക്റ്റ് ആണ്. എന്താണ് എന്തൊക്കെയാണ് വരുന്നത്? നമ്മള് എല്ലാത്തിന്റെയും ഒരു കോമ്പോസിഷൻ ആണ്, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ഒരു കൺസോൾട്ടേഷൻ ഓഫ് പ്ലാന്റ്സിന്റെ റിമെയിൻസ് ഉണ്ടാവും, അതിന് പിന്നെ എന്തൊക്കെയാ അതിന് ആനിമൽസിന്റെ റിമെയിൻസ് ഒക്കെ ഉണ്ടാവുന്ന ടൈപ്പ് സോളിഡ്സ് ആണ്. അതിന്റെ ഒരു കൺസോൾട്ടേഷൻ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ അതിന്റെ ഒരു formed by the precipitation from the solution. Okay. So this is called your sedimentary rock, and it contains both primary and secondary minerals. And that is important. It contains both primary and secondary minerals. Sedimentary rocks. Fine. The third one is your metamorphic rocks or thermal rocks. And these are formed from pre-existing rocks, either igneous or sedimentary rocks in the form due to the change in temperature and pressure in solid state. Okay. So this is important. Formed from the pre-existing rocks. There are main type of rocks. Adinu will to form the type of rocks are metamorphic or thermal rocks. Thermal rocks. Okay. Due to the change in temperature and pressure in solid state. The change in temperature and pressure in solid state. Okay. So we'll move on to the last topic for today, which is your weathering. Okay. So weathering, weathering is actually the process of disintegration and decomposition of rocks. So the rock will decomposition. Okay. So our process is weathering. Okay, weather Allah, don't get confused with both the terms. It's actually weathering process. Okay, so it's actually, please make it on this one. It is a process of disintegration and decomposition of rocks and minerals. Process of disintegration and decomposition of rocks and minerals. And this disintegration that can take place due to fragmentation, splitting, detachment, etc. And there are actually many reasons by which this weathering can occur. Okay, so ഒരുപാട് കാര്യങ്ങൾ എഫക്ട് ചെയ്യാം, ഒരുപാട് കാര്യങ്ങൾ കൊണ്ട് ഇത് ഇത്രയും വെതറിങ് ഫോർമേഷൻ നടക്കുകയും ചെയ്യും. ഓക്കെ, സോ ഒരു എക്സാമ്പിൾ ആണ്, നമുക്ക് ഫിസിക്കൽ ആക്ടിവിറ്റി ഉണ്ട്. നമ്മൾ വെറുതെ ഒരു കല്ല് വലിച്ച് എറിഞ്ഞാൽ അത് പൊട്ടുമ്പോൾ അതിന്റെ ഒരു ഡിസിന്റഗ്രേഷൻ ഫോം ചെയ്യും. അഗൈൻ ദാറ്റ് ഈസ് ആക്ച്വലി ഫിസിക്കൽ ആക്ടിവിറ്റി. ഓക്കെ, സോ അതുപോലെ ആനിമൽസിന്റെ മൂവ്മെന്റ് കൊണ്ടുണ്ടാകുമ്പോൾ അത്തരം വെതറിങ് ആക്ടിവിറ്റീസ് നടക്കാം. അത് ഒരു one of the case. Now similarly there are other natural forces which can also produce which can also result in weathering. For example, the temperature change. Okay, so heat is one of the reason. Water can be a possible reason. Wind, okay, even wind can cause weathering, and chemical reactions. So all these things, so almost all natural forces can result in weathering of rocks. Okay, right, and both physical as well as chemical changes can also be seen during this process. Okay, now we are so to get a better idea, let us classify this weathering into two types. One is the physical type, and the second one is the chemical type. Okay, so under physical you can see thermal and mechanical, and under chemical there is geochemical and biochemical. So we'll see all these things, how does that occur and all. Okay, so these are the two types. Physical, just make a note of this one. Back over next class will come. Right. Classification one over here. You can answer my attendance. Akash.
Sir, present.
Akhil. Amit.
Present, sir.
Anirudh.
Present, sir.
Karthik. Ladin.
Present, sir.
Mohammed Razak.
Present, sir.
Muqtasim. Fardin. Asif.
Present, sir.
Asad.
Present, sir.
Fateh.
Present, sir.
Sama. Zian. Mohammed Zian. Zian തുടങ്ങിയ പരിപാടി. Zian ഇല്ല.